In February, Katie Thurston, star of The Bachelorette, received a breast cancer diagnosis. She has kept her admirers updated on every stage of the journey. She disclosed a new strategy to combat the cancer in the most recent update. Perhaps the news is better than she anticipated. Breast cancer diagnosed in Bachelorette star just 34. When Katie Thurston joined season 25 of The Bachelor, Bachelor Nation viewers got to know her. On season 17 of The Bachelorette, she fell in love with Blake Moynes instead of Matt James. Her separation with Blake and other failed romances, which ultimately led her to comedian Jeff Arcuri, were supported by her fans. Although it wasn't the finest of conditions, the couple got married last month. Although they had intended to get married eventually, her breast cancer diagnosis earlier this year caused that timeframe to accelerate considerably. Katie Thurston found a bump in February and decided to see a doctor. Actually, the bulge had been there for some time, but she chose to ignore it at first. Numerous examinations revealed that the growth was cancerous. At the age of 34, the reality personality received a breast cancer diagnosis. She was undoubtedly shaken by the news, but she is adamant about overcoming her cancer. Katie Thurston shares her new cancer-fighting strategy. This week was Katie Thurston's scheduled start date for chemotherapy. The initial plan called for 6 chemotherapy treatments. However, her doctor called her just before she was leaving for her first appointment to advise her not to go. Why not? Her test findings were contradictory. Katie relocated to New York from California around the time she was diagnosed with cancer. She underwent her first examinations at a California hospital. She transferred her care to Columbia Hospital now that she resides in New York. Her cancer was more aggressive, as indicated by the initial test findings, which showed she was HER+. She is HER negative, nevertheless, according to the Columbia testing. What does that signify? Chemotherapy may not be necessary for Katie Thurston after all. She had a rough time in the chemotherapy class she took before the treatment was canceled, so it would be wonderful news for her. She revealed that the new treatment strategy combines targeted oral therapy with anti-estrogen medicine. In order to determine whether or not she requires chemotherapy, she is also undergoing additional testing. Most recent information. Following her most recent medical visit, Katie Thurston took to social media once more to provide an update. She stated that she has yet to receive retest results, but she didn't lose hope. "This first chapter is so close to its conclusion," she wrote. As soon as she learns more, she will provide another update. The reality star promised her fans that she would follow the doctor's advice regarding what was best for her body. She stated that she has great faith in her oncologist and the course of therapy they choose. Fans of Bachelor Nation have supported Katie Thurston throughout her fight with cancer, regardless of the course of treatment she receives. The Bachelorette actress Katie Thurston is battling one of the most difficult battles of her life, breast cancer. This is a tragic yet promising development. The 34-year-old, who was diagnosed earlier this year, has made the decision to take on the illness head-on and is chronicling every stage of her journey in an attempt to increase awareness and provide motivation to those who might be going through similar difficulties. Fans, however, are learning of a surprising development in her treatment plan in her most recent post, which provides a glimmer of optimism amid the uncertainties. After a significant shift in her care plan due to contradicting test results, Katie, who was initially scheduled to start chemotherapy, disclosed that her treatment plan had changed. On Matt James' season of The Bachelor, Katie Thurston's story with Bachelor Nation began. Despite not finding love, she won millions of fans' respect for her genuineness, charisma, and wit. She eventually fell in love with Blake Moynes on The Bachelorette, where her story continued. Before their split and subsequent failed relationships, their relationship appeared to be headed towards a bright future. However, all changed when she met comedian Jeff Arcuri. and after her illness, they unexpectedly got married in a hurried ceremony. Katie found a lump in her breast in February. She dismissed it at first, even though it had been there for some time. She didn't realize how serious the problem was until she saw a doctor. Katie was devastated to learn that she had breast cancer following a battery of testing. Katie was abruptly thrown into a fight against a cancer that impacts millions of women globally at the age of just 34. She was completely shaken by the diagnosis, which changed her life. However, Katie, who is renowned for her fortitude and upbeat outlook, was resolved to fight, not only for her own future, but also for the sake of those who were following her path. Katie's physician first recommended a course of treatment that included 6 chemotherapy cycles. One of the most popular and harsh cancer treatments is chemotherapy, and Katie was getting ready for what would undoubtedly be a taxing experience. However, an unforeseen circumstance occurred prior to her initial chemotherapy session, which would completely alter the direction of her treatment. Her doctor called Katie with some unexpected news. Her test results weren't what was anticipated. Katie had been residing in California when she was initially diagnosed. Her testing at the time showed that her cancer was HER2 positive, HER+, which meant it was more aggressive and probably going to need chemotherapy. However, Katie relocated to New York as part of her cancer treatment journey, and she went to Columbia Hospital. There, a startling discovery was made by new tests. Katie's cancer was HER2 negative HER, which means it wasn't as aggressive as first believed. Katie was greatly relieved to learn that there were new treatment options available and that chemotherapy might not be necessary at all. Moving from a potentially rigorous treatment plan to the prospect of avoiding chemotherapy was an emotional roller coaster for Katie. Katie said in her social media post that although she was relieved to learn that chemotherapy would not be required, she was also left feeling confused and unsure. She told her followers, "I trust my doctor and I'm ready to follow the best plan for me, even though I have a lot of questions right now." A new treatment strategy, consisting of anti-estrogen drugs and targeted oral therapy, was implemented as Katie's medical team continued to provide input. The goal of this strategy was to combat the cancer without using chemotherapy. Katie would continue to receive tests in addition to the medicine to make sure the cancer was still under control and that her body was reacting to the treatment. Anti-estrogen drugs function by preventing the growth of some cancers, such as some forms of breast cancer, which depend on the hormone estrogen. These drugs can halt or even reverse the progression of cancer by blocking the effects of estrogen. Conversely, targeted oral therapy provides a more individualized approach to treatment by targeting particular molecules implicated in the development and metastasis of cancer cells. This new strategy was a relief to Katie. It matched her preference for a less invasive treatment option and was also less physically taxing than chemotherapy. "It's definitely a relief to know that chemotherapy might not be necessary," she stated. "I'm feeling cautiously optimistic." But Katie was still on the cautious side. She was aware that she wasn't quite out of the woods yet and that modifications are frequently made throughout cancer therapy. Additional examinations would be necessary, and she was willing to undergo whatever procedures that her physicians suggested. Katie acknowledged that the emotional toll of her cancer experience was far from ended, even if her treatment strategy had changed for the better. "It's been a roller coaster," she wrote on social media. "There are good days and difficult days. However, I'm keeping my eyes on the results and holding out hope that this approach will succeed." Katie conveyed her sincere appreciation to her fans and fellow Bachelor Nation members for their support. "All of you have shown me so much affection. It is extremely meaningful to me," she wrote. "I've learned that it's okay to lean on others during tough times, and I'm thankful for everyone who has been part of this journey with me."